I'm planning to finish a paper for discussions with you. And you can see in the group, right? I already sent the list. Okay. Because IGCSE biology, they consist of about 21 chapters. Okay, and then sometimes some of chapter they will frequently come out in the exam, but some of the chapter they are not really come out in the exam. Okay, I mean it's very rare to come out that chapter in the exam. So you must study. Okay, so here's a few chapter you must study. Okay, the chapter 7, 8, 9, 14. Okay, 14, 16, and 18. Actually, this 14, 16, and 18, right, will be quite common, okay, to come out in exams. And another one is inheritance, okay, which is chapter 17. Yeah, the inheritance. Okay, so means that this first sections and the second section, right? 这个高频率还有这个中等频率的课啊 ，okay, you must study, okay, but the chapter 1, 2, 3 they'll be lesser, but I think in the recent year, right, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4 you should study as well, okay, you should study as well, except what I can see is chapter 15. Chapter 15 is we study about drug, right? So the chapter 15 will be quite less to come out in the exam. Okay, yeah, so here, so that's all about it. And then yeah, today we're going to discuss about the chapter 14. So I have sent you the notes, okay, which is this one, the chapters 13 and 14, which is the past year from 2025 to 2023. Okay, at least you want to try the past year from 2025 to 2023, so you know that you're able to do it. And then this is a keyword. Okay, and then I also send the example answer. Okay, let me try to discuss with you first. Okay, so this is the questions, right? Yeah. Oh, it shows about the internal body temperatures of the persons who was recorded. Yeah, and then you can see here's the internal temperatures 36 to 38. So the question is about what? Using the information, calculate the temperature range for the internal body temperature. So the unit, okay, the difference, okay, they want to calculate the difference in the range. So means that 38 minus 36, so it would be 2%. Oh, so it's not 2%, 2 degrees Celsius. Okay, and then later, draw a line to show the set point for the internal body temperature of the persons. Set point, you should draw about the set point, okay? So where is the set point? The set point is around here. Oh, okay. Okay, the set point, right, is around here. 37. Because your temperatures, your body temperatures, the range is around 37. So you should draw the horizontal line. And then for this one, name the mechanism for the homeostasis control. So the answer is what? It's a negative feedback. Okay, so this is the answer you should write, negative feedback. Because right, when we talk about homeostasis, okay, we go back to the north side. Homeostasis, which is one. Okay, so what is meant by homeostasis? Yeah, so this is the definition, okay, which is the body, okay, the maintenance of the constant internal environments. Yeah, so this is the keyword that you should write, okay, maintenance of the constant internal environments, because of homeostasis. So actually homeostasis, right, which is there's a system, they set a system to bring every of the parameter within the limit. Cannot be too high or too low. So example of the homeostasis, which is found in our body, right, in our human body, include in the regulations of the blood glucose concentrations, regulation of the blood pH. And you know that our blood pH, right, is about 7.2 to 7. Sorry, it's 7.35 to 7.45. This is our blood pH. Okay, it's around 7.35 to 7.45. It is slightly alkaline, just slightly alkaline. So this is our normal blood pH. So if there's too much of carbon dioxide, what happens? What happens if there's increase in the concentration of carbon dioxide in our blood? So what will happen to the blood pH? It will increase or decrease. If there's increased concentration of carbon dioxide in our blood, so what will it affect the blood pH? It will lead to the increase in the blood pH. which is increased more than 7.45, maybe 7.5 or 7.6, or it will be decreased. It means it will decrease to 7.3 or 7.2. What will happen? Hello? You are there? Hi? I didn't, I am able to listen to you. I'm still on the line, right? You can hear me, right, Ethan?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens if there's increase in the carbon dioxide concentration in the blood? It will be increased in the blood pH, or it will be reduced in the blood pH.
Reduce.
Sorry, repeat again.
Reduce.
Reduce, yeah, reduce, okay. Which is the blood become more acidic. Yeah, it become more acidic. Yeah, so that's what will happen if the blood become more acidic. It will be detected by the chemoreceptor in the brains. In the brain, you have a part we call it the medulla oblongata. Yeah. So your body will respond by increasing the respiration rate to excrete out the carbon dioxide away. So by this way, they can bring back the blood pH back to become 7.35. Okay, so this is how they regulate it. So this is called what? It calls a negative feedback, okay? Negative feedback mechanisms, which is if any kind of parameter exceed that limit, right? So your body will try to bring back to the normal range. And then, okay, for this one, explain how the body causes a change in the body temperature. 5 marks, okay, 5 marks. So what you're able to write is how the body cause a change in the body temperature, which is referred to how your body able to regulate their body temperature. So how can they regulate their body temperature? Is you need to talk about the organs, okay, which is here, which is in this picture. See, you need to talk about the organs, okay, and you need to talk about the hair erector muscle, the sweat gland, okay, the sweat glands. Yeah. So this is the answer, okay? This is the answer. You can have a read later. But okay. So what happens if there's a reduce in the temperature, which is become the low temperature? Okay, because they're showing about what? They're showing about the temperature, right? It is having the reductions, okay, from 38 to 36. Yeah, reductions in the temperature, which is at the region F. Region F is referred to here. See, here is the region F. Okay, region F. So you can see there's some fluctuations in the temperature, So explain how the body causes a change in the body temperature. I show, yeah. So the brain and receptor, they will detect the low temperature. So this is how you're able to answer something like, you still remember, you study about the reflex pathway, okay, from the receptor. You still remember from the receptor, which is this, the pathway, right? The here. Yeah, see the stimulus. So now in this scenario, the stimulus will be the low temperature, and then receptor will be the thermoreceptor lying under your skin. Yeah. So how they able to bring the response? So you have a receptor, okay? You have receptor lying under your skin, and also you have the your brains, okay, your brains able to respond to it. So they would able to detect the low temperature, okay, because your brain, right, there's a regions, okay, called as a thermal, I forget the name, okay, but there's a regions in the brains help you to detect any increase and decrease in the temperature. Oh, I remember the name. You call it thermal regulatory center, okay, but you don't need to include this in your answer, okay. I just let you know, okay, in your brain you have a center known as thermal regulatory center. You learn more when you study the IB biology or A-level biology. Yeah. So they will detect a low temperature, okay? So the receptor detect the temperature. So it will bring a response, okay? So what happens if you have a very low temperature? You want to increase back the temperature, right? So what you can do is you can do the vasoconstrictions. See, the vasoconstrictions of the arteriole, okay? So what happens if you do a vasoconstriction? Vasoconstriction means that you cause the arteriole. Arteriole is a blood vessel, okay? It's a smaller form of the artery. So they will do the contractions. So vasoconstriction refer to the, okay, this is a normal lumen, right? This is normal lumen of the blood vessel. So if they do the vasoconstrictions, means that the lumen become smaller, like this, okay? Become smaller. 收缩, okay? 血管收缩 called vasoconstrictions. So it result in the less blood flow to the skin surface or capillary. So, and then you will do the shivering, okay? Shivering will cause a rapid muscle contractions, which cause increase in the rate of the respiration to generate more heat. So that's why whenever you feel very cold, right, you will just shiver naturally. It's because your body trying to do the shivering, trying to generate some heat, some heat. And then you have this hair erector muscle, so they will contract to, they'll just contract. And then once the hair erector muscle contract, right, the hair will be aligned, okay? Something like hair, they will stand up. And then when the hair, they just stand up, right, they will just trap the insulating layer of air. So this will keep your body become warm. Okay, so for more detail, right, you can refer to here. Okay, just read this note and then you're able to score in the exam. Yeah, I already arranged for you. Just read this note, which is here. So you need to know how to answer when the body temperature increase. So just so we answer about when the body temperature is decreasing, right? Yeah. So decreasing means it's referred to when in the cold environment. Okay. What will happen if your body temperature reduce when they are in the cold environment? So you should say about the blood vessel. And then whenever you answer about vasoconstriction, right, you should say about less blood supply to the surface of skin. So you can reduce the heat loss by the radiations. Yeah. So that's why you need to write your answer in a more detailed way in order to get the marks. Okay, because it's about how many marks? 5 marks. 5 marks. So if you write the answer right, you get how many marks? Okay. You already write the brain and receptor. Okay, first mark, and then vasoconstriction. Okay, second mark, and then you write about the less blood flow to the skin surface. Okay, third mark. And then for this one, okay, shivering cause of rapid muscle contractions. And then for this one, hair erector muscle contract. Okay, so this is 5th mark. Yeah, so that's why you need to write the process and then elaborate it. Yeah, so in the cold environments, right, your sweat gland also stop producing the sweat. Yeah, they will do vasoconstrictions and then see your hair will stand up. Yeah, they just standing up and trap the insulating layer of air. So there will be shivering occur. Okay, yeah. So what will happen if your body temperature? I think I'm showing the screen, right? You can see my word file?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what happens if your body temperature increase? Yeah. So your sweat gland will produce the sweat. So sweating will provide the cooling effect to your body. Because the sweat glands, right? Okay, they can cool down the skin by evaporations. Because when they're doing the evaporations, they will absorb some of the heat away, and then they release out. And then your blood vessel, they will do what? Vasodilations. Vasodilation refer to what? The lumen of the blood vessel become big because 血管扩张, which is referred to the blood vessel. They increase in their lumen, increase in diameter. Why? It's because they want to supply more blood to the skin surface. Supply more blood to the skin surface so they can increase heat loss by the radiation. Because you can just imagine in this way, when your blood flow inside your blood vessel, 当你这个血在这个血管里面流动的时候，这个血里面是带着点热能的 ，you know， 这个血是带着一点我们讲 heat energy. So if you allow more blood flow close to the skin surface, right, you can allow more heat being radiated away, okay, by the radiations. Radiation is a kind of method which is your body losing the heat, 失去热能 by the radiations. Okay, it's just a kind of method. And then your hair would just lie flat to allow the air to circulate and increase the heat transfer. Okay, so here's the point. Yeah, talk about the hair, talk about blood vessel, talk about the sweat gland, and then talk about what to do to the muscle. Okay, is doing shivering or it's not. And then for this, you should know how to label it. Okay, this come out in about 2 or 3 times already. Know how to label it. See, okay, so the adults recognize. You should know how to recognize the hair. Okay, see, Here's a hair. And then the receptor. Can you see this? The receptor, which is sometimes they'll call it sensory neuron also. Sometimes they will just point it out as a sensory neuron or the receptor, okay? Because receptor are belong to the nervous system. Just part of the nervous system. And then you should recognize the hair iridoid muscle. And then here, okay, here is a sebaceous gland, okay? Sebaceous gland is referred to what? You, okay? Something they produce a sebum, which is the oil, 分泌油脂. And then you have the capillary, okay? Capillary, the blood capillary, which is connecting to the arterioles. And then here is the sweat gland, okay? So see, sweat glands, they are connected to the sweat pore on the skin surface. And then below here will be fatty tissue. We call it what? 皮下脂肪, under your skin. So just label it. And then for this one, right? Yeah, see, D. Okay. State the letters they produce sweat. So it will be the sweat gland. See, here is the sweat gland. And then the name of structure C and D. So C is a hair iridoid muscle. And then this D, okay, D will be belong to here. Okay, here's the D. See, the D structure. So these structures, right, you can write it as a receptor or you can write it as sensory neuron. 它有两种答案呐 ，OK， 它有两个答案，你可以讲是 receptor， 或者是你可以讲是 sensory neuron。Okay, and then for this one, I just realized that this chapter 14 come out a lot of the human sense organs, which is talk about the eyes, the structures of eye. 所以就是这个眼睛构造也是很重要的一点因为还是比较常出在这个 chapter 14这一课的。Okay, so this is showing about the receptor cell in the human retina. Yeah. Oh, okay. I should not show the answer first. Cannot show the answer first. Okay. And then, okay, they show about what? Distributions of the rods and the cones. Okay, so here is the distribution of the rods, just like this. Okay, you can see, right? The rods is here, okay, here, this line. And then the rod will be another line, which is here. Here is a rod, which is this line. Okay, here. And then here will be the blind spot. Okay, can you see the blind spot at here? Yeah, blind spot. And then when you see the blind spot, right? Blind spot contain any kind of photoreceptor or not? Blind spot contain any kind of photoreceptor? What do you think?
No.
No, okay. Yeah, in the blind spot, there's no rods or cones. Okay, no rods or cones found in the blind spot. Then how about fovea? So you can see right here is a fovea. Do you still remember where is the location of fovea? Fovea is a place on the retina. Yeah, see. Okay, you can refer to the 学霸笔记 So this is internal part is the retina. And then here will be the fovea. Okay, this fovea is just very close to the blind spot. So what is the fovea? Okay, fovea is a layer on the retinas. They consist of very high concentration of the cones. Yeah, so as you can see in this picture, yeah, see this fovea, right? They have a very high concentration of cones. So you can see they just pick in the number of cones at the fovea. So fovea, they consist of the cones, but there's no rods in the fovea. Okay, you can see the rod is totally zero at all. 完全没有这个 rods. So fovea, they are a spot on the retinas. They just have a high concentration of cones, but there is no rods in the fovea. Okay, using the information, describe the difference in the distribution of rod and cones. How many marks? 4 marks. Okay, how to describe it? Whenever you see the question asking you to describe refer to describe the trend in the graph. Okay, you know what's meant by trend? 趋势，形容这个 graph 的趋势。Okay, you can describe in about 4 ways, right? Either you can write increasing, okay, or you can write decrease. Because you just need to describe the trend of the graph, increase or decrease, or you can write about what? Or you can write about the which one? Okay, remain plateau. What's mean by remain plateau? Remain plateau, which is the line, right? It just becomes stable. There's no more increase. 直线、平行线 called plateau. Another one is peak, yeah, peak at some spot, something like that. So generally just this 4 term, right? And then how you able to describe the difference? Rods and cons, right? So you can see generally, if you want to compare the number of the photoreceptor, okay, see, you want to compare the number of photoreceptor, right, with the rods and the cons. So how you able to compare it? You can say that the rods, right, they have a higher in the number, okay, of the photoreceptor than cons. Because definitely you can see the rods, right? Oh, yeah, the rods, okay, which is this line. They are shown the gradient in the number than the con, okay. And then another thing you can describe is you can describe as the cons, okay, the cons they discover with very high concentration at the fovea. Yeah, just need to describe the distribution, okay. Yeah, so this is the answer. See, generally there are more rods than cons in the retina. And then the number of cons, which is here, see, here is number of cons. And that's why, let me ask you, do you still remember the function of rod and cons? Yeah, so you can tell me cons, what the function of cons? Cons is detect in the low light intensity or high light intensity. Which one?
Highlight intensity.
Yes, well done. Okay, rod is in the low light intensity. So whenever in the midnight when you go to toilet, right, you cannot see the light, but you still can sense the surrounding. So it's by the rods because rod is very sensitive to the low light intensity. Yeah. So you can say that number of the cons, they just peak. See, peak. The keyword, okay, peaks at the fovea. So this is the keyword that you use, okay? Peak at something. Same to when you describe the enzyme curve, right? Something like the enzyme peak at the which temperature with a very highest rate of enzymatic activity, something like that. The keyword, just use the keyword. And then there's no rods presence at the fovea. No rods, see, totally empty at all. No rods at the fovea. And then the number of rods, right? They peak either the side of the fovea. This show about what? Because you can see there's a peak, there's 2 peaks at the rods parts, which is at here, first peak, and then here, second peak. So means it's, oh, okay, they refer to here, the number of rod peak either side of the fovea. Okay, peak on these 2 sides of the fovea. Yeah. And then the number of cons outside the fovea is approximately constant. And then the number of rod is greater on the left hand side of the fovea. Because when you can see the fovea, right? Okay, the fovea, there's a left side here. Okay, here is the left side. Oh, left side. And then here is the right side. Right side. Yeah, so you can see the left side, right? They have a higher concentrations in the rods parts. Okay, than in the right side. Yeah, so just describe it this way, 4 marks. Okay, use the word peaks increase more than another thing. We want to do comparison, right? Okay, for this one, okay, the nocturnal animals are active at night. This is called as what? 夜行动物. Suggests how the number of receptor cells in the retina of nocturnal animal differs from the retina of the animals that is active in the days. Yeah. So how the nocturnal animal able to perform the activity at the night time? Because you know that night time there's no more light at all. So how they can perform the activity? So means that this animal, right, they can see very well in the night time. So because it has a lot of receptor, okay, which is the rod cell. Yeah. They have a lot of rod cell, okay. Oh, the rod cell. Yeah, rod cell in the retina. So this will give them the greater sensitivity for the night visions at the low light conditions. So there's more rod light in the retina, but there's lesser cons. Due to the color vision is less important in the night time. Okay, so that's why you need to know about the functions. This is very important. Functions of the rods and the con cell. Do I say in these notes? Okay, let me show you the functions of rod and con cell. Okay, see, yeah. So this is the distribution. Okay, you can see the density of rods and density of cones. Yeah, so if you want to describe, you can say that rod and cones are not distributed evenly across the retina. And then the rod cell, right, they are just found all over the retina, except the blind spot. Okay, the rod cell just all over the retina, except the blind spot. Okay, because the blind spot, they don't this space, right? I mean this area, okay, which is the blind spot, they do not consist any kind of photoreceptor. And then the cone cell, they are concentrated in the fovea. Okay, the fovea is a region where the light is focused. So that's why you can able to differentiate different kind of color. Okay, because due to you have this cone cell. Yeah, so what's the function of the cone cell? Cone cell is very sensitive to the high light intensity. Yeah, so these three, actually you have about 3 different kind of cone cell. Okay, you have about 3 different kind of cone cell. So they were able to absorb the light of different color for the color visions. And then each cone is connected to on neurons to the brain, so it gives very detailed image. Okay, I think this beside this sentence, I don't need to memorize. You need to memorize about this sentence. Okay, this sentence you need to memorize. Which is a cone sensitive to highlight intensity. They're able to differentiate the color. Okay, and then for the rods parts, right, they just detect the low light intensity, and then they just can provide the night visions, which is they can give the black and white visions. And then they are very sensitive in the dim light. Okay, so this thing that you should write in your answer. Can mark. And then for this one, right? Okay, the size of the iris increase the bright light conditions. So state the name of this response. Change in the iris size, which is they refer to this one. Okay, whether your pupil dilates or your pupil constricts. So this is called as what? The reflex, called a pupil reflex. 瞳孔反射, pupil reflex. So the pupil, right, is being controlled by 2 types of muscle. I hope you remember. If you refer to the muscle, right? So at this one, what are the 2 types of muscle control the size of pupil? What's the name of muscle? What is it? So remember the name of muscle? What's the name of muscle? Hi. Am I still there? Yeah, I'm still there. Okay, the name of muscle which contract the dilations and the constriction of pupil is by circular muscle and the radial muscle. So circular muscle will surround the pupil. See, circular muscle, they just look like this. Circular in size. And then the radial muscle, right, it just like this, okay? Yeah, they are something like longitudinal, okay? I can say that longitudinal. They're just pulling the lens. So this is called radial muscle. So whenever the circular muscle, they contract, right? Whenever they contract, they will cause the pupil to constrict. Okay, constrict, which is referred to the 瞳孔变小, constricts. So whenever the radial muscle contract, they just pull the pupil, pulling on the pupil. So it causes the pupil to dilate, 瞳孔放大. Yeah, so that's why, and then the question asked about what? The question about the iris, okay, see? The size of iris increase in the bright light conditions, which is they refer to the 瞳孔放大, right? Increase. So how you're able to increase the iris size? You're able to increase the iris size if there is a contractions of the radial muscle. See? Contraction of radial muscle. So when your radial muscle contract, right, what happened to your circular muscle? It will just constrict. I think I just put that here. Yeah, which is here. Okay, see? What happens if your pupil dilates, which is referred to the radial muscle will contract. Okay, because radial muscle, right, it's just a longitudinal muscle. They just pull on the pupil. So when the radial muscle contract, right, it will cause the circular muscle to relax. Because your muscle always work in this way. One muscle contract, another muscle will relax. So they will just work together. to perform the movements. They will not have about 2 type of muscle. They also can contract or relax together. No, must have a pair of muscle. Okay, a pair of muscle, one contract, one relax. So this is called as what? This is called antagonistic actions. Okay, antagonistic, which is a muscle they just work in the opposite way. The pair of muscle, they just work in the opposite way. So the size of iris increase in the bright light conditions. And then during this response, one effectors in the iris, they just contract and one effector relax. So what kind of the muscle, okay, they'll contract in this response during the dilation of the eyes? I think this is not correct answer, sorry. Why I put circular muscle? Because when you want to cause your pupil to dilate, right? See, pupil dilates. The one who contracts should be the radial muscle. Okay, it should be the radial muscle here. Yeah, so it's not circular muscle, it's a radial muscle. Radial muscle, they contract, they pull on the pupil. They pull on pupil. Okay, so radial muscle, they should contract. And then the circular muscle, they should be relaxed. So it causes dilations of the increase in the size of the iris. Okay, in the bright light conditions. Oh, okay. I just remember the thing. This is the bright light conditions. Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay, in the bright light condition, what will happen to your eyes? I think this answer is correct one. Okay. 就是说，当你这个光线很大的时候嘛 ，okay, in the bright light, right? Bright light. So what happened to your pupil? Your pupil will be reduced in size, correct? 对吗？光线很大的时候，很强烈的时候，你这个瞳孔它会变小，对不对？Which is they refer to like this, okay? So because this is in the bright light, okay, bright light, so it will cause a constriction of pupil. So when the pupil constrict, right, it will cause a circular muscle to contract. Yeah, so here's the answer. Yeah, so this answer is correct, okay? Circular muscle will contract. Okay, because the size of iris, they just increase in the bright light conditions. So means the pupil itself, they will just constrict. Okay, see, the pupil will constrict in the bright light. Because the iris, right, the iris is the surrounding, okay, the surrounding the pupil. So that's why you should know the structure of the eyes, okay, the structure of eyes, which is this one. Where is it? The eye structures. So we can see. We'll show the iris. Yeah. So the central part will be the pupil. Okay. I think let me find a picture. Show about what's the iris. Will be better. Iris. Okay. Iris is surrounding the pupil. Okay. So when the pupil constrict, right, the iris will be increased in their size. Okay, because there is more space. This is around here. Okay. Oh, and then you should know about the structure of the eyes also. It's quite common to come out in the exam also, which is this one. Oh, see. So this is a pupil. Pupil is the black spot. Okay, 那个黑点. And then surrounding one will be the iris. So iris surrounding the pupil. So what happens if the pupil constrict in their sides, right? Pupil 变小. So it will cause the iris, the surrounding area, to increase in their area. So this is referred to answer. Okay, the size of iris increase. The size of iris increase because of what? Because the pupil constrict. When the pupil constrict, right, the iris surrounding the pupil, right, will become increase in size because because the pupil they constrict. Okay, so I think I should put here as well. Okay, so when the pupil constrict, right, the iris increase in size. Okay, increase in size. So when the pupil dilates, what will happen to the iris? The iris just reduce in size. Why? Because when in the dim light, right, the pupil, okay, which is 你这个眼睛的黑点那个 pupil, okay, they will just enlarge. So when they enlarge, right, they will cause the surrounding iris becomes reduced in the size. Because the pupil, they occupy most of the space. Yeah, so this is a bit tricky, right? And then what kind of actions? So this is called antagonistic actions. So what's meant by antagonistic actions? If it describes the muscle, the action of the muscle. So one pair of muscle, for example, one pair of muscle 就是说一对这个肌肉 right? So one will be contract, another one will relax to produce a movement. This is called antagonist. Antagonists refer to the muscle, they just work in opposite directions, opposite motion, okay? One contract, one relax. And then for this one, okay, this show about the synapse between two neurons. So this is the first neuron. Okay, give me the name of the first neuron. How should I call this the first neuron? Which is the neuron they will produce the neurotransmitter. What's the name of neuron? So remember, at that time, what's the name of neuron? Which is produce the neurotransmitter. The first neuron, okay, the first neuron, and then the second neuron, which is they have the receptor proteins to receive the neurotransmitter. Okay, the first neuron called is what? Pre-synaptic neuron, okay? The second neuron called is post-synaptic neuron. Yeah, you should write this in your answer. And then what is the A? Okay, tell me. Adam's one, what's the A? The part A. The name of the A is the vesicle, okay? The vesicle, which consists of the neurotransmitter. Vesicle is just like sac, you know. So number A is sex. And then how about the C? Okay, C is a neurotransmitter. And then remember, neurotransmitter is a kind of proteins. 它是种蛋白质来的 proteins. So whenever the first neuron, which is a presynaptic neuron, the presynaptic neuron, they will release their vesicle. So they'll release vesicle, yeah. And then the vesicles will release the neurotransmitter to the synaptic gap. Yeah. Okay, so see. And then later the neurotransmitter, they'll just go to here. Okay, go to here. And then they'll bind to here. Bind to here. Okay, now Anderson, tell me what is this? What is number B? B is at which? What's the name of these structures? On the post-synaptic neuron. It's known as the, you want to have a guess? The B? Receptor protein. Okay, it's a receptor protein. Yeah. So yeah, as simple as that, okay? Just remember the structures and then you should know how to answer it. Remember, receptor proteins, okay? Receptor proteins. Okay, another one thing I want to ask you, you know that when the neurotransmitter, they pass through from, I mean, it's not pass through, but when they go through this gap, okay, when they go through this gap, okay, from the presynaptic neurons until they get the receptor proteins on the postsynaptic neuron. So here is a postsynaptic neuron. Here is a postsynaptic neuron. And then you tell me what is the method they are using. So they can get from this presynaptic neuron bind to the postsynaptic neuron. What is the method? I give you three choices: osmosis, additive transport, or diffusion. You choose one answer.
Diffusion.
Yes, your answer is
diffusion.
Yeah, it's diffusion, correct. Okay, it's diffusion. What is diffusion? It's because that the neurotransmitter, they just move from the high concentration. See, here is a presynaptic neuron, right? So the presynaptic neuron, they have a very high concentrations of the neurotransmitter. So that's why they can diffuse through the synaptic gap, right? And then get into the receptor proteins. Yeah, diffusion. Yeah, see, because the second question asked about explain how the neurotransmitter move across the synaptic gap. And then you should write the diffusions. 2 marks. If you write diffusion, you get 1 mark already. Diffusions. Okay, it's a kind of passive transport. So they don't require ATP energy or carrier proteins. So they're just moving from the higher concentrations from the presynaptic neurons to the lower concentrations in the synaptic gap. I just can write this. Okay, so remember diffusions, which is refer to the movement of the substance from high to the low concentrations. 2 marks, 2 marks. And then for this one, okay. And then whenever you study the IGCSE biology, you cannot skip it, okay? Because of just one question, right? Sometimes one question they come out about 2 or 3 topics. It's not only one question they come out that one topic. So that's why you need to study all that, okay? But you can focus on some important topic. Okay, see, they show about what? The main seats were pinned on the boards and provide with the light from all directions. And then they just place in the clinostat. You know what's meant by clinostat? It's an equipment to rotate the board. Yeah, and then later the board was rotated continuously, and then the seed germinated and the root grew. Okay, we'll talk about this one. Okay, they show about what? Seed germinations. So at this one, seed germinations is a kind of albic respirations or anaerobic respirations. You tell me it's which one? Albic or anaerobic? I cannot listen. Yes, Suya, I cannot listen to answer. You are muted. I thought you are also muted. Which one? Albic or anaerobic? Anaerobic, right? Oh, okay. The answer is albic. Aerobic. It's not anaerobic. Okay, it's aerobic. So at this one, why is aerobic during the seed germination? It's because that the seed require oxygens. Okay, what is the conditions for the seed to do the germinations? This is also very important. Okay, seed germinations, they require what kind of conditions? Do I write in the 学霸笔记? Let me show you. I think I write it here before. Okay. Sorry, I think it's a lot of thing to study, right? Okay. I just write here. You remember, seed germinations require about 3 conditions. First, they need oxygen supply to them. It's because the seed unable to do the photosynthesis. Whenever the seed before they produce their first leaf, right, they unable to carry out the photosynthesis. So that's why they rely on the albic respirations to provide them with energy. So they will have oxygens, and also they will have the temperature. Okay, you should have the warm temperature provided to the seed, and then you should have the water. Yeah, generally these 3 conditions. Okay, oxygen, temperature, water, to allow the seed germination to occur. Okay, so just remember, seed germination is always albic respirations. 有氧, okay, 有氧呼吸. And then the complete sentence, yeah, the auxins is kind of plant hormones is being produced in the shoot and the root tips, right? So remember, you know what's mean by shoot tip and root tip? It's referred to 这个植物的这个尖端, okay? Because the newly growing plant, right, they should have a bud like this. 尖端, okay, and then they will just elongate and grow. So this class, what this class tips. So the auxins later they will travel down the roots, also by the process of diffusion, okay, which is from the high concentration to the low concentration. So as the clinostat rotates, right, the effect of the gravity on all sides of the roots become equal. So this will cause the diffusion of auxins in the root to be equal. Okay, because this clinostat, what they are doing is they just rotate. So when they do the rotation, right, they actually cancel the effect of the gravitational tropism. They just cancel the effect of gravity. So that's why the roots, right, they will just they will not grow on downwards. Because in the natural condition, right, the roots should go downwards due to the gravity tropism. But due to the clinostat, they just cancel the effect of gravity. So that's why the roots, when they grow, right, they just elongate like this. Like this. They will not grow downward, okay? Not go downward. Yeah, and then you should know about the function of auxins. What is function of auxins? If the exam asks you, you can refer to here. What is function of auxins? Tell me. Auxins. Okay. So that's why you should read on the notes for the chapter auxins. Yeah, it's at here, this part. Okay, the tropic response. So you learn about what? You learn about gravitropism and phototropisms. And then you should know how to describe, okay? You should know how to describe on the phototropism and the gravitropisms. So just remember that shoots always show what? They always show the positive phototropism because they're just growing toward the sunlight. And then roots is the one who's showing the negative phototropism because they just grow away. And then same to the gravitropism, roots they have positive and the shoot is negative. Or due to what? Due to the unequal distributions of the auxins. Okay, so this is very important. I just highlight as red color. Okay, so auxin is made in the shoot tip and the root tip, and due to the unequal, there's an unequal distribution of the auxins. So what happens is the auxins will accumulate on the shaded side of the shoot. See, And then the auxins will cause a cell elongation. See, this is a function, okay? Auxins, they cause a cell elongations. Very important. So that's why whenever there's a auxins distributed at the regions, right, it will cause a shoot or roots to elongate, 变长. So that's why they can bend towards the light. Okay, and then one thing you should know, right? The auxins effect on the shoot and the root is different. 是不一样的啊. So what happens if auxins in the shoot? So auxin in the shoot, right? They will just accumulate on the shaded side of the shoot. Okay, which is just like this. I think you should remember before, right? Which is like this. Okay, see, the auxins, they just accumulate on the shaded side. Shaded side, which is referred to the side, which is they didn't expose to the sunlight. So when they expose to the shaded side, right, they will just elongate the regions. So that's why the shoot can grow toward the light directions. But how about in the roots? Okay, in the roots. Also, there's due to the unequal distribution of auxins. So this is one of the points you should write this. Okay, unequal distribution of auxins. So auxin will just accumulate on the lower side of the roots. How they accumulate on the lower side? Because it refers to here, the roots. Okay, which is here. This is the root part. Okay, so this is the roots. Okay, so the roots, right, they will show what? They will show the positive geotropism because the auxins, right, they will redistributed to the underside of roots. So and then later auxins at the shoot part, right, they will inhibit on the growth. Okay, auxins will inhibit on the growth. So that's why the side with the low concentration will grow faster. Therefore, the roots will bend towards the gravity. So just remember, auxins in the plant promote growth. Auxin in the roots inhibit growth. Inhibit growth. Which is they refer to the auxins with the auxins with the higher concentration at the part, right? They will grow slower. But the auxins with a low concentration at the side, right? They will just grow faster. So that's why the roots, they can bend towards the gravity. Okay. Oh, and then okay, we continue. So this is the point. Okay, auxins, they just inhibit on the cell elongations. This is happen in the roots. Okay, inhibit on the cell elongations. So that's why the roots just bend toward the gravity. Okay, so in overall, in the shoot, auxins stimulate cell elongations, but in the roots, auxins inhibit on the cell elongations. So whenever you answer the question, you should 擦亮你的眼睛看它的是在问 shoot 还是 roots. But in this question, right, they're always asking about shoot. Okay, 他们同样是问这个我们讲这个 shoot 还是 roots， 也要看清楚一点。Okay, so later, and then the rotation of cell will stop. And predict the change in the growth that will occur in the germinating main seeds. And then the roots, right, they will grow downwards and toward gravity if there's no clinoset effects. So if there's no clinoset effect, right, means that the gravitational force is not being cancelled. So that's why the root will show the positive geotropism. Okay, and this is phototropism. And then for this one, observe the cell from the plant they are wilted state and explain the appearance of the cell. Okay, this is chapter 3, osmosis. Okay, you should know about the 3 state of the plant, which is referred to what? Where is it? The 3 state of plant. Okay, so everything, if you didn't know how to write the answer, just refer to my Anki. Refer to the important keyword. I think I have wrote that here already. Okay, and then I have upload to the Google Classroom so you can have a look later. Okay, sometimes some of the question I just put star. Okay, why I put star? Because you should know. Because this is very common come out in the question. So that's why I put star, which is you must know how to write it, how to write the sentence. And then for this one, okay, the state of plants. Okay, refer to here. Oh, where is it? Okay, this one. The osmosis in the plant. So just remember that in the plant cell, there's 3 states. Okay, we call it as what? The flaccid plant cell. Okay, flaccid or plasmoid plant cell, or we call it as turgid plant cell. See, this is called turgid plant cell. And then what happened? They asked about this one. Okay, the plant has wilted. Or if the plant has wilted, right, it means that the plant is losing the water, right? The water just come out. Yeah. So what's the state? Cause the plant losing the water. So it will lead to the state of the plant, which is this one, flaccid or plasmolyte. Okay, see, flaccid or plasmolyte. So this is due to lack of turgor pressure and decrease in the volume of cytoplasm caused by loss of water. Okay, so just remember in the flaccid plant cell, right? They just look like this. Okay, let me draw to you. Sometimes they will ask you to draw how the flaccid plant cell look like. So you just draw it like this. Okay, this is a flaccid plant cell. I'm drawing the cell wall. Okay, here's the cell wall. Cell wall. And then I'm drawing my, because I want to draw a flaccid, right? Yeah. Flacids, okay? So here's a nucleus. Oh, here's a nucleus. And then here is a vacuole. So now the vacuole, right, they will just reduce in size. Why the vacuole is reduced in size? Because there's losing the water. They're losing water. So it's like the vacuole. So here's a vacuole, they just reduce in size. Okay? So this is called flaccid. Flaccid plant cell. But how to draw a plasmolyzed plant cell? You know the appearance for the flaccid and plasmolyzed plant cell is different. But the flaccid, right, refer to the plant cell, they just lose some amount of water. It will cause a vacuole to reduce in size. But what happens if the plant cell become plasmolyzed, which is the flaccid plant cell, they just continue to lose water. So what happens if they continue to lose water? They just continue losing water, right? So they will just become like this. So this is a plasmolyzed plant cell, okay? You should draw like the cell membrane pull away from cell wall, like this. Okay, you should draw something like this. This is a plasmolyzed plant cell. And then this is the nucleus. This is a vacuole. Okay, this shows a plasmolyzed plant cell. And then this is a cell membrane, okay? Cell membrane. Because cell membrane, right, they just pull away from cell wall. So here is a cell wall. Yeah, and then here's a vacuole. Here's a vacuole. So due to the loss of water, the vacuole become reduced in the size. Okay, so overall they will lead to reduce in the volume. See, reduce in volume of the cytoplasm due to lack of turgor pressure. Okay, turgor pressure. Okay, a big recap. What's meant by turgor pressure? Just remember the turgor pressure, which is this one. Okay, so this is the keyword that you should write. Okay, water move out by osmosis. So that's why the vacuole just shrink, reduce in size. Okay, so whenever the cell membrane pull from cell wall, right, cell membrane pull from cell wall, so we cause the plasmolyzed plant cell. Okay, this is what happens if you place a plant cell in the concentrated solutions, which is the solution with very very high solute potential， 非常高度的这个糖分，糖水还是盐水something like that. So what happens if you place the plant cell into the water or dilute solutions? So water will just move into the cell by osmosis. So that's why when the water move into the cell, right, it will cause the vacuole become bigger, okay, because vacuole absorb water. So it will cause a cell membrane. See, we refer to this one. Cell membrane just press on the cell wall. See, when the cell membrane press on the cell wall, right, they will create a turgor pressure. So this is how the turgor pressure being created. Okay, so what's meant by turgor pressures? Turgor pressure is a kind of pressure which is a plant, right? Yeah, okay. They are being supported by the pressures of water inside the cell. Okay, so turgor pressure is a kind of pressure found in the water inside the cell. The water inside the cell due to the cell membrane pressing outwards on the cell wall. So this is turgor pressure. So usually, why the plant they can stay fresh and stand upright is because they are being supported by the turgor pressure within the cell. Okay, so this is called turgor pressure. It will cause the plant cell to appear very fresh and turgid. So whenever the plant cell become weak, right, cool, that means they're reducing the turgor pressure due to losing the large amount of water. Okay, and then for this one, the blood glucose concentrations. Yeah, so this is another thing you should know, okay? So what happens if you eat the meal? So when you eat the meal, right, your blood glucose level will increase. So once your blood glucose level increase, right, it will be detected by what? It will be detected by the organs, which is known as a pancreas. So just remember that pancreas is the organs. They're able to detect if there's any increase or decrease in the blood glucose level. So what happens if the blood glucose level increase? So the pancreas will respond by produce the insulin. Okay, so insulin is what they will do is insulin, they will cause the liver, right, to actually insulin, what they do is they will just convert the glucose become glycogen. So this is what insulin do. Insulin convert glucose become glycogen. So how they can do this is they'll cause the liver to remove the glucose from the blood and convert it into the glycogen. You know what this means, which is referred to when there's a lot of blood glucose level. It's not, sorry, when there's a lot of glucose in the bloodstream. There's too much glucose in bloodstream. So what insulin do is insulin, they will stimulate the uptake. They will uptake the glucose into the liver or in the muscle. So later when the glucose come into the livers, right? So the glucose will be converted, become glycogen and stored inside the liver. So this is the actions of the insulin. Okay. If you are not clear, you can refer to here. Yeah, where's the insulin? Which is at this chapter. Insulin. Yeah, see. So how like describe the response. Okay, describe the response of the human body when the blood glucose level decrease. Yeah. So whenever there's decrease in the blood glucose level, right, it will be detected by the pancreas. So whenever the blood glucose level they decrease, right, the pancreas will secrete the hormone we call what? Glucagons. Yeah. So this is glucagons, they will just travel in the bloodstream to the liver. So later, the liver will just break down the glycogen stored inside the liver, right? Because inside liver there's a lot of glycogen storage. So due to the effect of the glucagons, okay, glucagons, spell it in the correct name, okay, glucagons. So they'll just break down the glycogens to the glucose by using the enzyme in the liver cell. So this is a keyword, okay? You should write this keyword, break down the glycogen in the glucose. So later the glucose will be released to the bloodstream. So by this way, they can increase the blood glucose level. Okay, so this is insulin. What the insulin do is insulin, right? They'll just uptake the glucose, okay, from the bloodstream and store the glycogens in the liver. So that's why the glycogen is found in where? Glycogen is found at the liver and also muscle. Just remember, these two organs, they consist of the glycogens. Okay, so these two example, right, will be belong to the negative feedback mechanism. Okay, so this is an example of negative feedback. And then for this one, diabetes, right? Okay, how the exam they will ask you, they'll ask about treatments. Diabetes is not a 糖尿病, right? And then how's the treatments for the diabetes? 2 marks. You need to outline, okay? Okay, whenever the question asks about this one, outline, right? Outline is just like something like, it's not described, just outline. Outline refer to, you just need to list down your answer. But in the complete sentence, okay? Outline just like something like list down. No need to describe in the too detail. So that's why what you can do is you can monitor your blood glucose level, and then do your insulin injections, and then you can control. Okay, you should control your diet. Reduce the glucose intake in your diet. You cannot eat food that's too sweet. Okay, so sorry, this is a treatment. Okay, when you ask for treatment, this is about it. Okay, the treatments. Treatment is the insulin injections. Yeah, monitor the blood glucose levels. So that's why the diabetes, right, you can refer to here. Yeah, see the treatments. Outline the treatments. Okay, this is stated in the syllabus. Outline the treatments. Include the insulin injections, regular glucose tests, dietary control, or exercise. So this is 4 kind of the treatments for the diabetes. Because diabetes, right, is an uncurable disease. You know, diabetes is uncurable. 你不能够治愈这个糖尿病，你只可以控制它。You just able to control by using those 4 methods. If you get diabetes, you will forever infected with this disease. Okay, because your kidney is being damaged. You cannot recover from it. And then for this one, the scientists, right, investigate the effect of injection of glucose solution on the blood glucose concentration in the healthy people. Okay, they just inject the glucose solutions, and then the injection will just given as 0 minute. So whenever the glucose solution is being injected, it will cause the blood glucose concentration to increase initially. Yeah. Okay, so you can see rapidly increase, but later the blood glucose they will slowly reduce. So you can see there's a gradual decreasing. 慢慢减缓减少. So now you need to calculate the percentage change in the blood glucose concentration from 5 minutes after ingestion to 30 minutes. So start from here, okay? 5 minutes and then to 30 minutes. You need to calculate the percentage change, okay? Which is from here to here. So you get the answer is 43%, okay? How you can get this is, this one you can try by yourself. I think is, which is you need to calculate here, okay? From here. Here is about how many? I think it's about the scale, okay? 120, okay? I think here is 120, the scale. And then here will be 200s. Yeah, so 200s minus 120. And then over the initial, which is 20. Yeah, so you can calculate the percentage change in the blood glucose. So you get 43%. And then for this one, adrenaline, okay? Adrenaline is very important hormone that you should know. Adrenaline is being produced from which organs? And also remember, adrenaline is being produced from which organs? The organ name is called as what? Which is on top of your kidney. Adrenal cortex. Okay, adrenal cortex, which is on top of your kidney. So remember, this is your kidney, right? This is your kidney. So that's why adrenaline called as what? 肾上激素. This is your kidney. It's kidney bean shape. Kidney bean shape. So that's why the adrenal cortex, right, is just like located on the top of kidney. So 它就是好像那个 kidney 有一个帽子这样子。So this is adrenal cortex. So this adrenal cortex, they will secrete the adrenaline. Oh, sorry, it's not adrenal cortex. Yeah, it's called adrenal gland. Okay, you can write this as adrenal glands. Adrenal glands. Okay, because cortex will be more specific. You haven't learned this yet. Adrenal glands. Adrenal glands on the top of kidney. So they'll secrete the adrenaline to the bloodstream. So what is the function of adrenaline? Okay, you can tell me about 3 functions of adrenaline. So adrenaline, right, is being released out during fight and flight response. Okay, maybe I can show the point. Where is it? Okay, so this one you can read by yourself. Okay, how your body able to regulate temperature. It's not very hard. Yeah. And then where's the adrenaline? Adrenaline is here. Okay. So it's a kind of hormones. Okay, hormones. So hormones is a chemical substance. Okay, which is produced by glands. And then what hormones does the adrenal gland secrete? See, adrenal gland will secrete the adrenaline, 肾上激素. So these adrenalines will allow fight and flight response by increase the heart rate, 增加心跳. Okay, just remember that adrenaline is being secreted out when you are doing exam. Whenever you do the exam, right, you feel very nervous, right? 对吗？你首先在出汗，很紧张，回答问题很紧张。Because there will be adrenaline rush. So what adrenaline do to your body is adrenaline, they will increase your heart rate. Why they want to increase heart rate is because they want to allow more oxygen come to your muscle cell. Okay, because your muscle, right, is undergo rapid contractions. You know your muscle undergo rapid contractions when there's a fight and flight response. So that's why you need more oxygen supply to your muscle cell. So that's why you need to increase the heart rate. You increase the heart rate, you increase the blood flow to the muscle cell. Your muscle cell able to get more oxygen. So the muscle cell able to perform more cellular aerobic respirations. So you can have a faster contractions. And then you need to increase your breathing rate. Yeah. 呼吸的这个频率增加了. If you increase your breathing rate, right, it will cause more oxygen being uptake. And then they can allow more carbon dioxide being excreted out. Because you want to prevent your blood become too acidic, right? Prevent the accumulation of carbon dioxide in your bloodstream. And then you can dilate your pupil, okay? So that's why your pupil will dilate also. So this is the adrenaline. And then another thing is describe the role of adrenaline in the control and metabolic activity, right? Okay, so adrenaline, right, just remember there's 4 functions: increase heart rate, increase breathing rate, dilate pupil, and then last one is they will increase the blood glucose concentrations. You know, your adrenaline also can increase your blood glucose concentration， 它们可以让你这个血糖的这个指数飙升啊。So this is the effect of the adrenaline. Okay, so that's why the hormones. So and also remember, there's two kind of hormones. Two kind of hormones able to increase your blood glucose concentration. One will be what? Glucagons. Another will be adrenaline. So these two hormones, they will increase the blood glucose concentrations. But in the normal situations, whenever your blood glucose reduce, right, the glucose will be secreted out. Okay, just in the normal conditions. But what happens if in the in the dangerous situations, right? In the dangerous situations with the fight and flight response happens. For example, if you're in exam or you are being chased by the dogs, okay, a fierce dog. So it's like your body will not only secrete out the glucagon, your body will secrete out the adrenaline as well. Because adrenaline, right, they can rapidly increase the blood glucose concentration in a very short time. It produces more stronger effect than the glucagons. 就是说这个 adrenaline 它的那个 effect 是更加的强效的所以他们可以很短时间去升高你这个血糖指数。Okay, that's it. So adrenaline they can cause a breakdown of glycogen, result in increase in the blood glucose concentration. So increase blood glucose, increase in respiration rate, increase in your heartbeat. Okay, so that's why they can release more energy for the muscle contractions during fight and flight response. Because if you increase your blood glucose concentrations, you can allow more glucose supply to your muscle. So your muscle can do more respiration. So they can release more energy for muscle contractions. Okay, 3 marks. Here's a point. And then, okay, this is a bit tricky. Okay, so a lot of students, right, whenever they see this plant, okay, I don't know how they think now, okay, but whenever they see this plant and then the question asks about state the name of the tropism, they just put it phototropism, and then the answer is wrong. Why? It's because they only tell you that the plant is growing in the dark place. In the dark place refer to there's no phototropism effect already. Okay, so the answer is what? Gravitropism. Okay, gravitropism. It's not phototropism. Okay, and that's one. So you understand? Because there's no light. Okay, no light. So that's why there will be gravitropism. Yeah. So the plant should show about what? They show about negative gravitropism. You can write negative in front also. How positive, right? It's negative because they just grow away from the gravity. This is about negative for the gravitropism. And then explain how the growth of plant shoot is controlled. So you should write the auxin effect. Okay, auxin effect. So the hormones auxin they just produce from the shoot tip. And then they will diffuse to the lower sides of the the shoot. Yeah, lower side of the shoots, which is on the shaded part. Okay, they just accumulate. Oh, where is it? They will accumulate on the shaded regions on the shoot part. So it will stimulate cell elongation. So and also remember, the function of the auxin is to stimulate the cell elongations on the shoot part. So it causes the shoot to grow outwards. Yeah, okay, like this. And then the use of water in the plant, right? This is not common come out in the exam, but a lot of students they don't know how to answer this. This is on the chapter 3. Okay, I still remember the chapter 3. Let me show you chapter 3. So that's why 记得我的这个笔记一定要读OK， 至少你要看一轮看一轮知道那个重点怎么回答。Where is it? I want to show about the function of the water. I forget it's which note already. Sorry. Okay. And also this notes, right? Okay. I already uploaded in the Google Classroom, so you can see 前面这几页是它的这个最重要的 keyword， 所以我已经放信息，放信息是你要读的这个部分比较长处的 OK， 可是没有放信息的你要读就是这样子你要读全部没有办法，因为它可能会出那种比较冷门的问题至少你有印象 OK， 至少你有印象 ，and then now behind here OK it will be the example of the past question so I'll put here because I still remember previously, right, I do send you the notes which is the importance, the keywords and then that document you can ignore it 之前我 send 你的那个你可以不需要读我记得之前我 send 你一些 document 因为那个有点 outdated 啊，不好意思，那个有点就是说有些不在 syllabus 啊，就比如说我 send 你这个东西啊，比如说这个chapter 5 and 在 important point 来这个你就不要再读啊，你就不要再读，因为我就把那个重点全部搬去这个 important keyword 了 ，OK 所以就是说这些之前我 send 这些东西你不需要再读啊，你就是跟着我这个读就好 ，OK 明白吗？这个不要再读啊，就跟着我这个读就好，因为我这个是跟着最新的 organizer，OK， 好，所以我们就继续So the use of water in the plants, the water can use in the photosynthesis and become the solvent for transport. Or water they can also provide supports to the plant. So just remember the trigger pressure, right? The trigger pressure is being created by the water, okay, exert on the cell wall. And then for this one, okay, this is just calculation. Then you should know how to calculate. Yeah. And then remember, when you calculate this kind of question, right, you should remember to put the unit. OK， 记得放 unit 不过很多时候他们已经给了你这个 unit 已经给了这个 percentage，so that's why you don't need to add. But okay, so this is 3 mark. So the 3 mark they will give you about what? They give you about the calculation, okay? And then you should write down the step clearly 就是说你不要直接给答案你要写这个 step 写要清清楚楚So that's why you will get the 3 mark. Okay, so this show about what? Okay, the root length of the bean seeding over a period of 120 hours. So this is the time, okay, the time over the root length. So this shows that the root length is increasing over the time. And then, yeah, so why the root length is increasing due to the effect of the auxins? Because auxins, they can simulate the cell elongations. And then, okay, for this one, 2024, show the internal body temperature of human and external environments during 6 hours in a day. So here's a graph. Okay, internal and the external environment temperature. So you can see there's 2 curves. There's 2 curves here. And then the question asks about what? Yeah. The internal body temperature range is from 36.4 to 37. And then state the range of external environment temperatures. So where is the external environment temperature? Which is this one? This curve. Okay, so it's around how many? 28 to 30. This is 39 or 30. Around that. Okay, 39. Right? Yeah, it's 39. Okay, around 28 to 39. And then explain the result for the internal body temperature. Show. Give about 6 marks. Wow, 很多 6 marks. 就说在这个 IGCSE exam 他们最多也是给你6分而已从来不会有7分、8分的全部会，最多6分 ，OK， 6分、5分这样子So that's why when you answer this 6 mark question, it should be very very detailed 你要很仔细写每一个 point 这样你才有分OK， 因为他们抓这个 keyword 抓很严的So that's why you should read on the answer and then you take note on the highlighted part of this one. Okay, because this highlighted part right is being written in the answer scheme. For example, how you're able to write the question is okay, this one. Explain the result of the internal body temperature. Refer to how your body able to regulate the temperature. Regulate your internal body temperature. So it's a process of the homeostasis. So homeostasis is being involved in the negative feedback mechanisms. So the change in the external temperature are detected by the receptor. So you should write the receptor. Okay, receptor is from the brain, okay, or your skin. So in this question, right, you write about the receptor on your skin. Okay, because your skin, right, you know your skin, they have receptor called what? Thermoreceptor. Okay, so remember the image, right? The image, which is a receptor and sensory neuron, which is located on the skin. So later the receptor, they detect the stimulus. Okay, so what's the function of receptor? Receptor detect the stimulus. The stimulus is just like either it's hot or cold stimulus. So once the receptor detect the stimulus, they will start to generate the nerve impulse. So the receptor generate nerve impulse, and then they just travel to the sensory neuron to the brains. Okay. So any change in the blood or internal temperature is detected by the brains. Okay, so the brain is a central nervous system, is a regulatory centers, so they were able to decide what to do later. So later the brain, they will send the nerve impulse by the motor neurons, okay, to the effectors in the skin. to bring out the response. So you can see the highlighted word is referred to the because of pathway. Okay, the pathway including for what? Including the first starting from the stimulus. Oh, sorry, it's not stimulus. Receptor. Okay, start for the receptor. Receptor, and then to the sensory neuron. Now, from the sensory neuron, and then to the brains. From the brain to the motor neurons, and then to the effectors. Which is a pathway. And then how you're able, how your body able to respond to the cold environment temperature. Actually, you should write either cold or hot. Okay. You should write either in the low temperature or in the high temperature, because I don't think you have a lot of time to write such a complete answer. For it is only 6 marks only. For example, you choose about cold temperature. Okay. Also the same thing. Vasoconstriction of blood vessel, the head rhythm muscle. Okay. The shivering. Yeah. So this I will not discuss again. I think you should know how to write it. Okay. Yeah. So this is just example short answer. If you don't have time, okay, you write the short answer. You should write the point very clearly. Okay. So because when the examiner they mark the question, right, they mark your answer. They just mark based on the keyword. So whenever I look at this answer, even though it's very short, but I see the keyword, okay, I just give 1 mark. Homeostasis. Second mark. Receptor. And then brain, okay. Then vasoconstrictions. And then vasodilations. So I think you get at least 5 marks. 4 or 5 marks. Just remember to write the keywords. No need to write very long sentence. Remember to include your keyword in your answer. That's all. Okay, so this is the same image again. Yeah, 所以你看这个图片呢，他们 repeat 了几次啊。Okay, so that's why you should know how to answer it. Yeah. So fatty tissue is just for insulation. Okay, fatty tissue, 皮下脂肪 insulations, and then the hair with the muscle, they will just contract to raise hair to trap the heat. Hair with the muscle 它会收缩。So when you contract, right, it will cause the hair just raise up, stand up. So when the hair stand up, right, they can just trap heat. And then the receptor, which is a B, here. So that's why this B, right, sometimes they can call a receptor or they can call a sensory neuron, because later they will pass this impulse right to the brain later. So the receptor, they just detect any temperature change. So this temperature change, right, they are referred to what? Stimulus, okay? Any kind of stimulus. Okay, and then for this one, sense organs. Let me explain you what's meant by sense organ. Okay, sense organ is a subtopic in the chapter 14. See, this is sense organ, and then you should know how to define it. Okay, sense organs refer to the group of receptor cell. Receptor cell, they just respond to the specific stimuli, such as any kind of stimuli. Okay, so sense organs is a group of receptor cell work together to perform a specific functions. Okay, because it's an organ, right? Organs, it refers to a lot of tissue working together to perform a specific functions. So they will just detect the specific stimuli and transmit impulse to the sensory neurons. So the sense organs. 2 marks, 2 marks. Okay, the mark will be given to this one. When you write group of receptor cell, and then detect specific stimuli. So this is what they just given to you. And then for this one, okay, you should label it. Okay, so draw a label line and a letter X to identify motor neuron. So where is the motor neuron? How are you able to find the motor neurons? Okay, motor neuron is, you can see, right? Yeah, motor neuron. Okay, you can see here is a neuron. Okay, from this neuron, right? See, they just connect to the brains. Yeah. And then from the brain, right, they just go back to the eyes. Okay, and also tell me, the blue line is the motor neurons or the red line is the motor neuron? Which one? You think it's the blue line or the red line? Okay, which one? Which one is motor neuron? Is the blue line or red line? one line will be the motor neuron, one line will be the sensory neuron. What do you think? So you see, this neuron, right? They just collect the image, okay, from the eyes, and then it sends to the brains. So you can see, the arrow, not on the arrow, they're just moving to the brains. So later the brains, right, they will just integrates on the information, and then they will send out the impulse, and then they will go back. So you can see, here's the arrows. So what do you think? The red line is the motor neuron, or the blue line is the motor neuron? What do you think? Adam Suyang, what do you think? Want to have a guess? Why both of you just remain quiet? Okay, the answer is the blue line. Blue line, it is the sensory neuron. 对吗? Because sensory neurons is, you can see the arrows. The arrow is, they just call it the impulse, transmit to the brain. So it's sensory neurons. So later the brain, they just process on the information, and then they will send out the impulse. So this red line will be the motor neurons. So that's why you should label it. Okay, draw a label line and the letter X, like this, like this. Okay, label it as motor neurons. 1 mark. Okay, and then describe how the events that occur at the synapse generate the impulse in the next neurons. See, synapse. Okay, so whenever the question asks about synapse, right, you should write about a few important keywords. You should write about the neurotransmitter. Okay, from the pre-synaptic neurons. Okay, so neurotransmitter is released from the vesicle, in the pre-synaptic neurons, and then just get into the synaptic gap. Okay, synaptic gap. And then later the neurotransmitter, they'll just diffuse. Okay, diffuse, the diffusion across a cleft. So later the neurotransmitter, they just bind to the receptor proteins on the postsynaptic neurons. Yeah. 3 marks. Okay, for this one, describe and explain the process of accommodation in the eyes. So what's meant by accommodations? And this one, what's meant by this word? Accommodation. What's meant by the words? Accommodations. Okay. Accommodations refer to what? Refer to change in the lens. Okay, refer to this one. So you can see, here's a picture show about the arterial. Okay, the arterioles or the artery. So just remember that whenever there's an increase in the body temperature, the blood vessel, they will do the vasodilation. So you can see the lumen become bigger. Whenever the body temperature reducing, right, the blood vessel, they will have a vasoconstriction. The lumen becomes smaller. 收缩，血管收缩。The lens are at here. Okay, lens. Okay, see, this is referred to accommodation of lens, which is you can adjust the thickness of the lens based on the objects. Based on the object, whether it's being located distance or near. Adjust the thickness of the lens. Either the lens become thin or become thick. So that's why if you want to view a near object, what happened to the lens? Okay, and those if you want to view a near object, right, your lens need to be dilated. I mean, your lens need to become very thick or become very thin. The answer is your lens will become more convex, okay, which is become very thick. 增加这个厚度become more fatter. Because of what? Because you are viewing the near object, right? So you should have more reflections of light. Okay. Yeah. If your lens increase in thickness, they can allow more reflection of light. Okay. And also tell me, what is the function of lens? If the question asks you what's the function of lens, how's the answer? Functions of lens. Lens, they will help in what? Okay, you can refer to my I think 我觉得你们两个应该会有一些知识忘记不用紧。 所以要复习 ，OK， 要复习啊。在哪里啊 ？Which are here? See, I didn't write here function of lens. Okay, see the lens. Here is the functions. Okay, they just help to focus light on the retina. Focus light on the retina. 就是说聚焦那个光线啊，在于这个 retina because retina there's a lot of light receptor, right, which is the cones and the rods. And then for the cornea, okay, cornea is the one which consists of the iris and the pupil. So they how to refract light refractions. 折射这个光线啊。And then the iris, okay, iris they can we call it as dilates or constricts. So that's why iris they can do what? They can, it's not iris, sorry. It's a pupil, sorry, it's a pupil, okay? So iris just surrounding the pupil. So iris, right, they can just control how much light enter the pupils. Okay, iris, which is surround the pupil, right, they just control how much light enter the pupil. Because iris, they can allow the pupil to become dilate or constrict. Because iris just surround the pupil, right? So this is the keyword. Okay, and then, yeah, so if you want to view a near object, the CI muscle, they will contract. Okay, so when the CI muscle contracts, this will cause the suspension ligaments to slacken or loosen. So just remember to in this way, okay? Where is it? Yeah. You have a distant object, you have a near object. So in a near object, right, your lens will become more convex, whole, how变whole, or become fatter. So when your lens become more fatter, right, it's actually due to the suspension ligament, they become slackened. You know what I mean by slacken? Slackens refer to 松 refer to they are just reduced tensions on the lens 就说它拉着这个 lens 的这个 ligament 它变松了so the lens, right, they can just bulge, okay, become more fatter and thicker. So whenever the suspension ligament they just slackens, which is they just relax, then the CI muscle holding the suspension ligament, right, they'll be contracts, okay, they'll be contracts. And then what happens in the distant object, which is when the suspension ligaments, they just pull on the lens. So whenever the suspension ligament, they just pull tight on the lens, right? They just like something like you're pulling the cloth, right? Like this, right? They become very, very thin, okay? Because you're pulling on it. Yeah. Okay, so when there's a suspension ligament, they just pull on the lens become very thin. Okay, so whenever suspension ligament, they just contract, pull on the lens, right? Then the CI muscle, they just relax. Okay, so this is called as well accommodation, change in the thickness of the lens. Okay, and then this is the same thing, okay? I will not discuss again. Yeah, the pros and cons. See, they always repeat asking the same questions. Okay. Let me this. Okay, the central and peripheral nervous system. And then this is the order, right? Actually, I shouldn't give you the answer. Okay, later I'll find about some question for you to do. Okay, and then you try to complete it. Okay, so this is stimulus. Okay, stimulus, touch and temperature. Yeah, pressure or pain. And then the pupil reflex. Okay, so pupil reflex is being controlled by the circular muscle or the radial muscle in the iris. So just remember that these two muscles, right, they are just located in the iris. So that's why the iris, they can help to control whether the pupil, they can do dilation or constrictions due to the iris consists of a muscle. So they can pull on the pupil. And then for this one, okay, describe and explain how impulse they can pass in one direction from one neuron to the next, right? 5 marks, okay? So also the same thing, okay? Also the same thing, just you need to write the neurotransmitter, okay, release to the signaling gap and then diffuse. And then the receptor on the next neuron, right, they are complementary in shape to the neurotransmitter. Okay, one thing I want to show you is, you know, your neurotransmitter is a kind of proteins, okay? And then this protein, right, they have their own specific shape. Because later when they bind to the when they bind to the receptor protein on the post-signaling neuron, which is this one, okay? You can see this is the neurotransmitter receptor protein, okay? I shouldn't call as molecule, it should be proteins. Okay, just proteins, receptor proteins. So this just like the enzyme bind to substrates. So remember, when the enzyme able to bind to substrates, when the substrate able to bind to the enzyme, there must be complementation. Same to this also, the neurotransmitter, they should bind to the receptor proteins on the pulsating neuron. So it means that the neurotransmitter, they should have a complementary shape to the receptor proteins on the pulsating neuron. Only they can bind to each other. 互相匹配的这个形状。So that's why you can include this in your answer. See, the receptor on the next neuron, right, which is on the pulsating neuron, they are complementary shape to the neurotransmitter proteins. So later, when the neurotransmitter bind to receptor, they can start to stimulate the impulse. Okay. Okay, so how able to describe the sense organs, yeah, and then label it. Okay, and that's one. Yeah, so how you able to label the blind spot? So blind spot is at here, okay, at here. See the blind spot around here. Yeah, which is the very close to the optic nerve. You know, here's the optic nerve. Optic nerve is a kind of 神经线, okay, optic nerve. So the blind spot is where the optic nerve leave the eyes. So and that's why whenever you cut off the optic nerve, right, what happens? You become blind. Okay, because optic nerve will help to sense the image. And then for this one, okay, label the part of the eyes. Okay, so you should know how to label it. Okay, okay, for this one, right? D is what? D is the corneas. Okay, D is the corneas, and then C is what? C is the it's a pupil. Okay, C is a pupil. Yeah. So D is a cornea, and then G is optic nerve, and then H is retina. Okay, so retina is located inside. Yeah, inside here. Retina is just an internal layer inside the eyes. Okay, it's an internal layer. So that's why you should know the structures of the eyes very well. 要知道啊，这个眼睛的结构，最近这2年会出比较多。And then the function of each structures in the eyes. Yeah, so the name of 2 effectors, they can contract and relax during the pupil reflex. So circular muscle and the radial muscle. Okay, so 你要很清楚啊 okay? The pupil reflex is belong to the circular muscle and the radial muscle. But just now we talk about lens accommodations. The lens accommodation, right? We talk about what? Suspension ligaments and the ciliary muscle. Don't confuse it. Okay, 不要搞混。不一样的这个方向啊，一个是 pupil reflex, right? 一个是 lens 的这个 thickness adjustment. Okay, explain why a person is unable to focus on distant object if the suspension ligament become permanently overstretched. So you see, suspension ligament, right? They just overstretch. So what happens if the suspension ligament overstretch? They will just pull on the lens. Okay, so that's why the ciliary muscle, they will relax, but the suspension ligaments can no longer become taut. Okay, taut means what? Taut means that they refer to the ligaments, right? They become very tight, okay, because it's overstretched. So that therefore the lens will just the lens is not stretched, remain fixed, and then the angles of the refractions become unchanged, so making it impossible to focus on the distant object. Okay, because it's overstretched, right? Overstretched 就是说它过度拉伸because when the ligaments, right, they overstretch 过度拉伸的话the ligament, they will become something like loosen 松弛so that's why the lens, right, is not being stretched. Okay, because whenever the ligaments, they just stretch on the whenever the suspension ligament, they just stretch on the lens, right, the lens should appear thin, right, because the ligament just pulling on the lens. But what happens if the ligament just overstretch? So when the overstretch, right, they will cause the we call it the stretch become very loosened. So that's why the lens is not stretchable. So the lens will just remain thick. So when the lens remain thick, right, the angle refraction remain unchanged, so you are unable to focus on the distant object. Okay, this is a bit because indirect question. Okay, indirect questions. Okay, this is also the same thing. This asking about this one. Okay, the plants, right? And then showing about what? Gravitropism. Okay, explain how the auxins is different in the pattern of growth shown by B and E, shown in the diagrams. So you can see you have a B and the E. So B, okay, is growing downwards, but E, due to the clinostat, because you have a clinostat, cancel the effect of the gravity. So that's why they just grow in the directions. I mean, they just grow straight in the directions. So that's why you should describe it, okay? Auxins is produced in shoot tips and move on diffusions and just accumulate lower side of shoots. So the higher concentration just stimulate the cell elongations. So that's why the shoot can bend upwards. Okay, but in the rotating dish, auxins is equally distributed. So that's why the cell elongation, they just occur equally on the side. The shoot just grow straight. It will not bend, okay, so it will not bend upwards. For this one, okay, seed require oxygen and water to germinate. Okay, the condition for the seed germinations: water, temperature, oxygen, and one more thing, enzyme. Okay, you know, the seed germination, right, is a kind of enzyme catalyzed reactions. Not only seed germinations, in the respiration, in the photosynthesis also, they are all being controlled by the enzyme. So that's why the temperature will be very, very important, because temperature, they will affect the activity of enzyme. Too high temperature, it will destroy the enzyme. Oh, not destroy, it will denature, okay? Denature the enzyme. So it will affect the germination process. Yeah, so the temperature, okay, they will affect the germinations. And then, okay, oxygen is required because the seeds during germination, they do what? They do the aerobic restrictions, okay, to provide energy for growth. And then the water, okay, in the solvents to provide the turgor pressure. Yeah. So water help in the turgor pressure, and the water is a great solvent. You know what's a solvent? Solvent refer to there's a lot of solid grow. There's a lot of solid, right? They can dissolve in the water. Okay, I think I will discuss here until here. Yeah, I think I will send you some questions. I think about 2 or 3 questions you can have a try. And remember to complete my paper 1. Okay, it's not paper 1, paper 2。上次我发你那3个 paper 2的这个题目，记得做。OK，拜拜。